It's so beautiful to be back together again. It's been only a few days, but with so much that's happened in the last few days, it feels like it's been a long time since we've been here. Beginning, as usual, with a question that comes from our family joining us from all over the world online, our internet-based family, our online family. Then we'll open it up to any questions that anyone here has. There's 2 microphones here, so whichever happens to be closer to you. Actually, that one doesn't look like it actually has a mic in it. Okay. So there'll 2 mic stands, one with a mic, one with a mic that's about to appear. So whichever one happens to be closer to you, you can feel free to come up to the mic and ask your question. But we'll begin with one that's come in from the online community. What can we do to make ourselves pure-hearted? And that's asked by Neville Singleton. How to make our hearts pure? It's a beautiful question. It's interesting because when we speak about the heart in these sorts of circumstances, it's actually the mind we're talking about. We use the word heart because we feel it here. It feels much more like an emotion than a thought. But it's actually our mind. The real heart, the energetic heart, the heart chakra, the energy of love, that's always pure. There's no such thing as an impure feeling of love. Impurities arise in lust, not in love. There is nothing but purity. In love, there's nothing but purity in our actual heart. But it's the mind that we feel as the heart. Meaning, when we say to purify the heart, what we really mean is purify the emotions. That anger, the judgment, the likes and dislikes, the attachments, all of that feels like it's in our heart. Because when things don't go the way we want, when somebody hurts us, we feel it in our heart. We say, my heart is broken. When somebody hurts us or betrays us or leaves us. But it's actually the workings of the mind. So the purification is in the mind. And if you want to feel like mind and heart, that's totally fine. If we want to separate mind and emotions, or thoughts and emotions, that's completely fine, doesn't matter. But just understand that what we're talking about is not that actual core heart of who you are, because that's always pure, nothing but pure. That coreness of who you are as love doesn't need to be purified, doesn't need to be awakened, doesn't need to be developed, doesn't need anything done to it other than it to be given the freedom, the expansive spaciousness to shine. How do we purify, therefore, the mind or the thoughts and emotions? We work with them. We work with them in meditation. We work with them in prayer. We work with them in yoga. We work with them in our actions. Because it's not just a one-way street. It's not what I think, so I do. It's also as I do, so I think. And this is why we emphasize satsang, or the power of association, the importance of association, and that association of truth. I could be a really good girl, but if I got caught up in the wrong crowd, and that wrong crowd was, let's say, stealing, or dealing drugs, or doing criminal behavior, even though I begin those behaviors as a good girl, and my identification is good girl, but I'm just doing this to please my friends, slowly, 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 what's going to happen is my self-identification is going to change. As I do more and more of those not so good things, I'm going to start identifying as somebody who does that. It's why when we make resolutions or promises to ourselves, I always emphasize, make sure you make something that you actually can stick to. You're going to start getting up early in the morning to meditate? Great. But don't make a commitment if you're used to sleeping till 10 that you're going to get up at 4 o'clock from tomorrow morning. Because you're probably not going to do it. And then all that's going to happen is your self-identification becomes, yeah, I'm the type of person who makes commitments and I don't follow them. I am of weak mind. I am weak-willed. I'm lazy. And that self-identification is much worse for you than not getting up in the morning to meditate. So that's why I always say, when you make a vow, when you make a promise, choose something you actually can do. So that then the self-identification becomes, I'm someone who does it. I follow what I say I'm going to do. So when we speak about purification of the mind, these practices, yoga, meditation, prayer, actions, yam and niyam, the core of Ashtanga Yoga, or the 8 limbs of yoga that Patanjali gave us. Why did he emphasize this? Why, in order to attain union with God, or samadhi? Who cares if I lie? Who cares if I'm violent? Who cares if I steal? Who cares if I hoard? Who cares if I have random promiscuous sex? Who cares if I don't do sadhana, or my thoughts are not pure, or my body is not pure? Who cares if I study? Like, why does it matter? It matters. It's not because God is sitting there saying, you didn't take a shower today, I'm not gonna, no samadhi for you. It's not that. It's that as you work in yoga, these 8 limbs of yoga, we work with them sequentially. Doesn't mean you can't automatically start with meditation. Of course you can. Doesn't mean you can't attain samadhi straight from asana. Of course you can. But as we take them as techniques to work with, we work with them sequentially. And yam and niyam create a foundation, a soil of mind that enables us much more easily to start working with the body, with the breath, to quiet the mind in meditation. If you've spent your day having mindless promiscuous sex, or being violent, or lying, or stealing, chances are your mind is not going to be able to attain that state of stillness in meditation that is needed as just the very basic prerequisite for anything else to happen. There has to be spaciousness, there has to be stillness. And if I'm worried that you're going to catch me for lying, or stealing, or sleeping with your husband, or doing something else that I know is wrong, it's very likely I'm not going to be able to meditate. So it's not God saying, no, 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 you are bad, I will not become one with you. It's that our mind themselves, our hearts themselves, those thoughts and emotions, prevent us. If I get up and I don't have a shower, again, God doesn't care. It's not that God says, oh, you smell, get away from me. But when I know that I get up and I begin by purifying my body, I bathe, I brush my teeth, there is a completely different feeling in me as I sit down to meditate. And it creates a much more conducive experience of meditation. So all of these actions that we do, we're not doing them to please God or to get God's favor. We're doing them because they are the very basic, you can think of them as like windshield wipers for the mind's eye, for the way that we see ourselves, the way we see the world. The world is there, even if your windshield is dirty. But it's very likely you're going to get in an accident because you couldn't see it. Clean windshield, dirty windshield doesn't change the existence of the world outside your car or the existence of you inside the car. It's not that it's changing the core of who you are, but it's preventing you from quite literally making a mess of your life, harming yourself, harming others. It allows you to navigate your way. So, spiritual practice, what we call tapas or sadhana, our meditation, our prayers, our yoga, our seva, our japa, purifies the mind, purifies the emotions, helps us break free from that which keeps us stuck. And the last piece I would add, since we're already on the subject of yam and niyam, is swadhyaya, study. There's nothing that purifies the mind like studying. Study the scriptures. Study the teachings of the saints, the sages. Study their lives. And study yourself. As Pujya Swamiji always says, balance your own inner accounts. Because when you see the jealousy, the anger, the judgment, the negativity, the lust, the greed inside yourself, it propels you even more into that sadhana. Oh my God, I'm such a mess. I better get up in the morning to meditate. And it just enables you to work with the mind, work with the heart. And slowly, 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 every day you'll find that you're able to purify it more and more. And the last piece that I would mention is perhaps the most important, is remember that regardless of what's going on in the mind, regardless of what's going on in our thoughts, in our emotions, in that mind, in that heart, it isn't you. You are not a thought, you're not an emotion, you're not a feeling state, you're not a vasana, you're not a sanskar, you're nothing of those, you're not a neural network. You are that which is purity itself, which is divinity itself, which is love and consciousness and truth itself. And so when you find you're struggling with the games of the mind, with the fluctuations, work with them. But simultaneously remember I am not them, so that you don't feel like I'm a failure or I am caught up in this. No, you're not. It's happening. It's happening in the brain. It's happening in the neural networks. But But it's not who you are. You're the one aware of that. You're always pure. It's like a movie screen. You could show the goriest, awful, bloodiest violence on the screen. But the screen doesn't get dirty. The screen doesn't get bloody. Nothing happens to the screen. You could show people yelling at each other, screaming and yelling, furious, having crazy orgies, doing, whatever it may be. But it's all just being reflected on the screen. None of it is actually changing the screen. And so remember, as you work with the projections of the mind, realize you are the screen. You're not the movie being shown. So if you find that there's a projection of anger, there's a projection of violence, there's a projection of greed or lust or whatever it is, just re-anchor yourself in the awareness that you are the screen. And just watch it. Just watch it. Ah, this is being projected. Ah, that's being projected. Ah, now this is being projected. But it's not you. And so always remember that. You are pure. The mind needs to be worked with. Great. Yeah, other questions? Any? Yes, of course. There's a mic just behind you. Ab idhar aayega, mic ke paas, yeah.
Namaskaram. Actually, I have a similar question. What you just told us, that it's a personal question.
Sure.
Like most of the time, I do yoga and meditation and everything, and I try to stay positive most of the time. But sometimes, still we try very hard not to get hurt, or if somebody says something to us, we just want not to get affected. But sometimes deeply, we just get affected by that and we cry and we do everything which we should not do. So at that point of time, what should we do to heal ourselves, to come out from that situation? Because sometimes it gets very difficult to most of the people.
Yeah, so first of all, recognize it's not something that you shouldn't do. There's no law that says thou shalt not cry or thou shalt not be affected. We're here in a human experience. We're spirit, we're soul, but here we are in a human body.
जाने गए
it's part of the human package. You don't want to become a machine. We don't want to turn, these days where we've got so much that robots can do, which is great. Wonderful. Let the machines do what the machines can do. But you don't want to turn humans into machines. Don't cry, don't feel, don't care, don't be affected. Well, though you're going to become indistinguishable from, ChatGPT. It's not the goal. It's not thou shalt become unhuman. What it is you shall realize, even in your tears, that ultimately you are that which is aware of the fact that sadness is happening. Doesn't mean you must make it go away. It just means that you don't identify with it on the level that that's who you are. Otherwise we get lost. We drown in it. I am sad. I am devastated. I am broken. No. In this human experience, something or someone has triggered a response, a reaction in my brain, in my thoughts, in my emotions. Sometimes it's happiness, sometimes it's sadness, sometimes it's being in loveness, sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. They're all part of the package of our human life. Don't run from it. Don't try to push it away. But just always remember whatever it is that's arising. I am the one aware of it. I'm not the one lost in it. I'm not the one broken by it, devastated by it, drowning in it. So I don't lose my ability to move through the world. Because I'm aware. Yeah. And you actually start, what I've noticed is, you start to notice a sweetness. There is a sweetness in the tears. There's a sweetness in the longing. There's even a sweetness in the moments of frustration. Because you notice them and you're like, look, this is so, look, here I am. Look at this. Look how beautifully human this is. And you just start to notice it with a sweetness. You become curious about it. That's really interesting. Wow, I wonder what made me so angry. Wow, I wonder what hurt me so much. Yeah, I mean, this person did something, but really, that big of a deal? Why did it anger me so much? What is it in me that got triggered? Quickly as it happens. Because you say, we get angry and upset and it sticks and it's hard to get out. It's because we let it fester. We let it fester. My favorite teaching example of this is, imagine that you've got a brand new, beautiful white couch and your friend comes over and you make them a hot cup of tea or coffee from your own hands, lovingly. And then they take that and they spill it on your white couch. And then they stand up and they walk out the door. What are you going to do? Right? What's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to chase them down the block. Get back here. Clean my couch. How dare you? first thing we're going to do, we're going to clean the couch. Because we know I'll deal with that person later, but if I leave this coffee stain on my white couch, it's going to stain. But metaphorically, what most of us do is we allow the stain to sit there. Take pictures of it, post it on social media. Look what this person did to my couch. They go, and I was being so nice. I, made them this loving cup of tea, and look what they did. Or if not on social media, at least we tell everyone, can you believe it, what they did to me? Every day we look at it and we cry, my God, I loved him, I trusted him, and he came and ruined my couch. I can't believe it. You'd never do it with your couch. You'd clean it right away. You'd never leave it there to just remind you of how mean that person was. And if you've got that much respect and care for your couch, what about your heart? What about your mind? कम से कम मतलब इतना ध्यान तो देना चाहिए, right? At least the level of care that we have for our couch, we should have it for our heart. So the moment that things happen, somebody's mean, somebody is rude, somebody hurts us, just picture it like a couch, just like immediately. Do whatever you need to do. Go have a shower, bathe in Ganga, chant a mantra, dance, listen to a song, read a poem, write a poem. Do beautiful pranayam, but just get it, like free yourself in that moment. Don't even let it stick. What you learn about stains as the years go by is if you wash it immediately, you get it out. Even if it's coffee, even if it's ink, even if it's something that stains, if immediately it's out, but you let it sit even 5-10 minutes, it's over. Now you better send it to the dry cleaners with a prayer. But if you get to it quickly, just little water, little soap, it's over. Have that kind of love for your heart. Good. Yes, of course.
Well, my question is kind of in continuation to what you just said. It's just that mine is a little personal. To put it shortly, it's about human relationships. Right now I'm facing a challenge. My daughter, married for 15 years with 2 grown-up children, one 13 and one 9, has come out of a broken marriage. And, sorry.
It's okay.
She's with us in Dehradun. And we're trying our best to support her. Not that we're both young. My husband is 70, I'm 64. My aged parents, father 90, mother 89, they were living not with us, but just across the street. And for the last 15 years, my husband is from the army. Ever since we retired and came here, we had been with full dedication looking after my parents. But this broken marriage of my daughter came up just last year. She just walked out of the house. My younger sister, who had eyes on my father's property, made use of this opportunity, and she has driven my father away from me. She's taken my parents away from me, from here. Maybe because my father became insecure, that now we will not have time. I'm facing a major crisis, major emotional crisis. There's too much cheat, deceit, lies, backstabbing. I try my best to be a good human being, listening to satsangs, trying to take part in as much prayers as I can, but I don't know why this is happening to me. So how to choose? Because I cannot abandon my daughter and to look after my parents. And neither do I want to abandon my parents. I would have tried to sail in both boats. But unfortunately, I have been cheated. So how to deal with this? Because this is killing me actually.
Thank you for sharing. So the first piece to realize, as you say, I've been a good human being. I'm sure you have been. These situations don't come as punishments. The lessons that we're given in our life are not punishments. And it's so easy and it's so instinctive to think, but I've been a good person, why am I facing these situations? And what you realize is that the goal of your life, the goal of God, the supreme reality in giving us this life, has nothing to do with the amount of ease you're going to have, has nothing to do with the amount of happiness even you're going to have. The goal of your life, from the perspective of the divine, is that you will get closer and closer to God, that you will break free of your karmic bonds, and you will attain moksha liberation. That's the ultimate bottom line goal. If you say, does God have an agenda? Yes, that is God's agenda. We should break free of our karmic bonds. We should attain liberation. God is not worried about who's going to be CEO of a company or president of a company, who's going to get fired, who's going to get a job, lose a job. So recognize that your experiences that you're going through are what you're going through because they are giving you the situations that are most conducive for your awakening, for your spiritual progress. That's why you're getting them. Not because you've been a good person or a bad person. So that's the first piece to realize. The other aspect is you've given a situation that it's logistic, and it's emotional, and it's spiritual. There is actually an external problem to be solved. My aged parents taken away by my sister. My daughter, broken marriage, now at home. These are situations that are aspects of your family life dharma. And you have a dharma as a mother to your daughter. You have a dharma as a daughter to your parents. So these are logistic aspects that also have emotional components, but then there's also the spiritual component. On a spiritual level that weaves into the emotional level, the only answer is the non-attachment. Now, it doesn't mean you don't care, doesn't mean you don't help, doesn't mean that you don't do everything you can. But it means that especially at this phase of life, in this Vanprast ashram phase of life, your ultimate highest dharma is not about the attachments. It's not about the doing. It's about your spiritual experience and you letting go of the attachment as the doer. So you keep doing. I'm not saying don't do, you do. But you must stop identifying as the role that you're playing and start identifying as that divine. Start identifying much more from the perspective of consciousness, divinity, soul, spirit, rather than the body, rather than the story, rather than the drama. Otherwise, the drama will kill you. And we're going to come to it logistically last. I'm not leaving it. But it's most important on a spiritual level for you to recognize this is a role I've been given. In this Leela, in God's divine play, the role I have been given is the mother of a daughter who's coming from a broken home, the daughter of parents who by God's grace are living very long lives, but now who are in this situation. This is a role you've been given. It is not the core of who you are. It isn't the truth of who you are. Right? This is core Bhagavad Gita 101. Right? You are not the doer. You are not the role. You are not the story. You are not the drama. It's just a role you've been given. This particular intersection of time and space, this scene in this act of God's drama, this is the role you've been given. Here's the script. Here's the co-actors and actresses. Here's the roles they play. Your job is to walk through it as consciously, as anchored, as grounded as you possibly can. That's your role from a spiritual perspective. However, lastly, when we are fulfilling our dharma, doing our duty, playing our roles, we have to play them well. Bhagavan Krishna also makes this very clear. You are not the role, but play it well. He doesn't say you're not the role, forget about it, chordo usko. You are not the role, but play it well, fully and completely. Full energy, full sincerity, full commitment, full engagement. So you're not disconnected. I know that in English, detachment and disconnection are actually synonyms, but when we speak about it spiritually, disconnection is not what Vairagya means. It is not saying do not be connected. It's saying do not be attached to the identity, attached to the story. Essentially, don't let the mask of the role that you are playing get so glued to your face that you forget that there is a face beneath the mask. That's what it's talking about. So you've also got to play the role. Meaning logistically, pragmatically, work it out. Okay, so your daughter's home with her kids. Okay, here we are. The most important thing is to make her feel accepted and loved. I imagine that she's struggling with a lot of shame. Make her understand that there is nothing wrong with her. This broken marriage is not about a failing on her part. It doesn't mean that she is less wonderful or divine or beautiful. It just means that their karmic journey together was over. It was done. We have this expectation that everyone who comes into our life in relationship is there forever. But it's not true. There's a beautiful saying that I love that says people come into your life for a reason or a season or a lifetime. There are some who are lifetime ones. There are some who are there for a specific period of time. And there are some who are there for just a purpose. It sounds like this marriage was for a reason and a season. It's given her 2 beautiful children. The marriage wasn't a failure. She has 2 beautiful children. They should not feel like somehow, because kids take this stuff on. If she is shamed or she is made to feel there's something wrong with her, that trickles into the kids. If there's a problem with mom and that's why dad is gone, it means there is also a problem with us. The 3 of them need to be made to feel that they are the most perfect, whole, divine, beautiful, amazing beings, and the karmic journey in that marriage is over. It's finished. And that's okay. As far as your parents, this is a little harder. What I would say is, as painful as it is that your sister has taken them away, she's also going to take care of them. She's not going to take them away from you and then dump them in the street. Ultimately, the goal is they should be cared for. Maybe the energy of the universe has created this situation with your sister so that you can dedicate more time and energy to your daughter and grandchildren. And instead of seeing it only as how you've been betrayed or hurt, maybe you can see it as a divine hand. It's painful. And your parents are being taken care of. They're being loved. As angry as you are at your sister, I think we have to accept that she loves your parents, that she wants the best for them. Her vision of best might be different than your vision of best. But that ultimately she has your parents' highest interest at heart. And maybe you do as much as you can to be with them. And maybe you let go of that attachment to who is primary caregiver. Okay, now my sister is primary caregiver of parents. Okay. I have a daughter and grandchildren to be primary caregiver of at this point. And just allow the possibility of that in the divine working of this karmic journey. Your parents knew you. They know who you are for them. They've seen it their whole life. You don't have to prove it at 90 years old. They know. Be there as much as you can. But don't fight in a way that it's creating tension and conflict at this end stage of their life, or a situation where they are being forced to choose between their 2 daughters. आप बताओ किसके साथ रहना चाहते हैं? मतलब we should not put our parents in those sorts of situations. आप उसको बोल देना कि no. This is their end stage of life. Let them be free of the drama of a family. Don't engage them in this drama. Let them be loved. Let them be cared for. And let them be focused on where they're going rather than on the drama between you and your sister. It's the best thing you can do for them. Yeah. Beautiful. We'll start with your question tomorrow. For this evening, we'll come to a close. But kal aapse shuru karenge. Have a beautiful rest of your evening. I look so forward to being together again. Tomorrow we'll now be having satsang, by God's grace, regularly in the evenings. And I look so forward to seeing you all again tomorrow. And so much love